everyone, today we embark on a journey to master the art of referencing using the Harvard method. Referencing is an essential skill in tertiary education that ensures academic integrity and acknowledges the sources we rely on for our research. Today we are exploring the basic requirements of referencing, but before we can get started on this, we will need to look at the difference between copying and plagiarism. Firstly, let's take a look at plagiarism. Plagiarism refers to the act of presenting someone else's work, ideas, or words as your own, without giving proper credit or acknowledgement to the original source. It involves intentionally or unintentionally using someone else's intellectual property without permission or credit. Plagiarism can occur in various forms. Direct plagiarism refers to copying and pasting someone else's work, word for word, without quotation marks or proper citation. On the other hand, paraphrasing plagiarism occurs when rewriting someone else's work or ideas without giving credit and presenting it as your own. Plagiarism is considered unethical and is a violation of academic and professional integrity. It has serious consequences, such as academic penalties or even disciplinary action. Copying refers to replicating or reproducing someone else's work or ideas without necessarily presenting them as your own. It involves duplicating the content, whether it's text, images, or other creative works, without proper authorization or attribution. Copying can occur in different contexts, such as submitting a friend's assignment as your own work, using someone else's work or answers without permission, or proper citations in assessments, or replicating copyrighted material such as artwork, music, or literature without authorization or appropriate referencing. In summary, plagiarism involves presenting someone else's work, ideas, or words as your own without proper credit, while copying refers to duplicating or reproducing someone else's work without necessarily claiming it as your own. The only way to avoid being guilty of copying or plagiarism is to learn how to properly reference the information and ideas you find when completing your assessments. At Rosebank College, we use the Harvard referencing style, and we use the IIE referencing guide as our template. You can find this guide on your library resources. Now we are going to discuss what referencing is and why we need to use it. In high school, you might have learned to reference sources by including a URL link in your bibliography. At tertiary education level, you are required to fully reference your sources using the Harvard referencing method. All tertiary institutions around the world, like colleges and universities, require academic referencing and acknowledgement of the sources we use during research. So keep in mind that you will need to master this skill if you want to be successful in your studies. So what is referencing? Referencing is a way to give credit to the authors and researchers whose ideas we use in our own work. It demonstrates that we've conducted thorough research and helps readers find the original sources for further exploration. Harvard referencing is widely used in academia because of its simplicity and clarity, and it allows readers, like your lecturers, to locate and verify sources easily. The format includes both in-text citations and a reference list at the end of your work, so both are needed for all assessments that you submit for your modules. Now that we understand why referencing is important and why we're using the Harvard method, let's dive into the specifics. In-text citations are used when you directly quote, paraphrase, or summarize information from a source within your text. Paraphrasing refers to writing information you find in your own words and shows your lecturers that you have understood and can show insight into this information. So it is advised that you try to paraphrase as much as possible in your assessments. The in-text citations provide brief details that lead readers to the matching entry in the reference list. An in-text citation typically includes the author's surname, publication year, and sometimes the page number. It can be placed within parentheses, also known as brackets, or integrated into the text itself. As seen in the example below, on the left-hand side, the information taken from the source has been paraphrased. You can choose whether you want to start your sentence with the in-text reference or if you want to place the in-text reference at the end of the sentence. Notice how the punctuation differs depending on where you choose to place your in-text reference in the sentence. On the right-hand side, the information has been quoted directly from the source, meaning that this information has not been written in the student's own words. As we can see, when quoting information, you must include more specific referencing information, namely the page number. Again, you can see that the punctuation changes according to the placement of your reference. Let's see an example. Suppose we're referencing a book called The Art of Referencing, written by Jane Smith, published in 2022. To directly quote from this book, we'd write, according to Smith, referencing is an essential skill. Because we chose to start the sentence with the in-text reference, the year of publication and the page number of where this quote can be found in the source are placed between the parentheses and separated by a colon. Remember, page numbers are included for direct quotations but are optional for paraphrases and summaries. Please pay special attention to your use of punctuation when referencing your sources. Now that we've covered how to create an in-text reference, we need to learn how to create a reference list that will appear at the end of all your assessments. The reference list appears at the end of your work and provides complete details about the sources you've cited. It allows readers to find and access those sources easily. The reference list entry for a book includes the author's surname, their initials, the publication year, the title of the book in italics, the edition, if applicable, the place of publication, and the name of the publisher. The example on the left has been taken from the IIE Referencing Guide. You can see this guide provides a detailed description of what referencing information is needed in your reference list for this type of source. As long as you can identify the type of source you are using, be it a website, an edited textbook, or an academic journal article, you can refer to the IIE Referencing Guide to ensure you are acknowledging your sources correctly. Earlier, we created an in-text reference for the book The Art of Referencing by Jane Smith, published in 2022. Every in-text reference must have a matching, fully referenced version of the source in the reference list. The full Harvard reference for this source would start with the author's surname, Smith, followed by the initial of her first name, Jane, which would then be J. Thereafter, the year of publication, the title of the book in italics, and the edition of the book would be included. Lastly, the city of publication and the name of the publisher will finish off this reference list entry. When referencing a book, most of the required information can be found on the cover of the book. Any missing information is found on the second or third page of the book, where you will find the city of publication and the name of the publisher. Sometimes you will need to do a little detective work to find all of the required information. Remember, different types of sources have specific formats, and you will find clear examples and instructions on how to reference these different sources in the IIE Referencing Guide. If you are confused or feel overwhelmed about Harvard referencing, don't worry. Learning how to reference academic sources is a skill that requires practice, and more practice. All first-year tertiary students feel overwhelmed when confronted with referencing requirements, but be assured that as you complete your activities and assessments, you will learn from your mistakes, and before you know it, you will be a referencing expert. You can start your journey to becoming a referencing master by downloading the IIE Referencing Guide from your library page. Also, you can try to reference the textbooks you have been prescribed for your modules this semester as a starting point. It is likely you will need to reference these sources in your upcoming assessments. Happy referencing!